Hi BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and today I thought I would do a kind of update on classics. This was kind of a spur of the moment decision for a video idea. But I thought I would update you guys on how my classics reading is going this year. So let me... Once again, I'm still focusing on my classics, but I'm also trying to get back to the fantasy genre because the last 2 years I was focusing so much on classics that I feel like my fantasy, which is still my favorite genre, was falling on the wayside. So I have been working on that the past 3 months, working on my fantasy, and reading more fantasy and catching up on some of the series. I am currently actually reading one right now, a second book in a series, and that is the second book in the Seven Waters, which was originally a trilogy, but then it became a series. This is the second book, Son of Shadows, about Sorka's daughter and how she falls in love with a guy she should not fall in love with. And it will mess up the Fae's plan, and, it can ruin their king, and there's something about a prophecy, and how her kingdom is in danger, and if she pursues this romantic relationship, that it will be dangerous for her family. But so far it's really good, and I really like Juliet Marillier's writing style. But yeah, that's a good series. But anyway, so let's get back to the classics. So I have my TBR Reads binder, which I'm not as good at keeping it. Like, I have stuff like this that I try to do, but then I never can keep up with. Like, I might keep up with the first month or a couple months, like the same with the bullet journal if I attempt one, and then I get lazy about it, and it's just easier for me to go on Goodreads or Storygraph to update how my reading is going right now. So let's talk about how classics. Okay, let's see. I have my. Where am I? What's this list? Sorry, I'm taking out my printed list of my books because that's what I like to do. I like to make a document that's a list of all the books I've read, and I include series, separate pages for series. Unfortunately, that means I run low on a lot of ink. I use up a lot of ink. What's this list? And I'm trying to look at this other list I have here. Oh, yep. Okay. Yep, this will probably be a better list to look at than this other one, because this one contains all my books, while this list just contains my classics. It's just easier to look at that because it's grown and I have a lot. Okay, so out of the ones I've read so far, I have read Age of Innocence. That is by Edith Wharton. So that's the only one of the few Edith Wharton's books I've read. I've also, as far as Edith Wharton, I have read Summer by her, Ethan Frome, now twice in my lifetime because I read it in school. And actually I have, where is it? I have, okay. Where's it? this one. So I have, this is one of my Edith Wharton collections. This is, I've read False Dawn and The Old Maid. So this one includes False Dawn, The Old Maid, The Spark, and New Year's Day. So I've not read The Spark or New Year's Day. But like I said, I read the first two, The False Dawn and The Old Maid. I liked them. They were really, I'm trying to think of which one was my favorite. I don't remember which one. I think I like The Old Maid best. I don't know. I'll probably eventually have to reread these. But I think I like The Old Maid. And let's see. I don't know. But as far as sorry, I hate when it does that, and I don't know what you guys see when it does that, when the screen disappears. So yeah, I've read Summer, The Old Maid, Ethan Frome, Age of Innocence, and I don't know if I do not know. But I think I'm gonna read House of Mirth next. Okay, and then we have Agnes Gray by Anne Bronte, one of the Brontes I've read. So out of the Brontes, I've read Wuthering Heights, I've read Jane Eyre 3 times. Which, let me show you my copy. I had another copy of Jane Eyre, and then I decided to put it in a different pile, and actually I put it in a pile that might go to Terry next time, although that pile has grown, so I don't know how many books she's gonna take home, how many books she's gonna be able to take home. The good news is that because we've decided we're not gonna do a convention this year, we're just gonna hang out. She's gonna come and visit me for the summer, and we're gonna hang out. And I just hope she's not too bored, because there's not a lot of stuff to do around my town, except for going shopping, and maybe we'll probably watch a lot of movies and TV, which actually is good for me, in my opinion, because I can make her watch some stuff that I really want her to watch, that I've been wanting her to watch, but we just never have time, because she's only here for a few days, and then we go to the convention, and we spend the weekend we spend the weekend at a hotel where the convention is being held. And of course, it's not like I'm going to bring DVDs with me, because by the time we're done with the convention, we're so tired, so we're not going to watch any. So, but at least with this visit, we can kind of do some other stuff. And we'll probably go out to eat and all that. But anyway, I got a few books for her, and some of them are pretty big, so I don't know which one she's going to take with her. But, I actually have a collection of some of Anne Rice's novels, a bind-up of her Vampire Chronicles. Because even though I've decided to give her another shot, I am not going to read, those are not the ones that I'm going to read. Because, I will read, that version of them, I should say. I'm not going to read that edition. Because it's one of those Barnes & Noble hardback ones. And it's just, I tried that with reading some of Jane Eyre's novels and it was too much. It was too difficult for me to read. So, and it took away some of the enjoyment of the story. But, so, my first copy, technically my second copy of Jane Eyre, I gave to her. I put in the pile for books for her. While with this one, because I wanted to get a different copy. And that's this edition. And which you guys, I think I've shown you guys this before. When I did a haul. And, oh my god, I love this edition. Because first of all, it reminds me of Tim Burton a little. His style. His gothic style of, drawing. And then it kind of, I think I've seen an Alice in Wonderland that kind of looks like this kind of style. But I love this, and I have been tempted to buy the Wuthering Heights version, because there is a Wuthering Heights version of this. Now, I don't know if all of the Bronte sisters books have this style, which I think would be really cool. I wouldn't mind collecting them. But like I said, I never feel justified having multiple copies of books, even if I really love them. I always feel guilty about buying multiple copies. But so I end up, if I have a copy previously, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of that copy, donate that to a store or to someone, and then buy the copy that I want, the other copy that I want. So but yeah, I love this. And look, every time I look at it, I want to go ahead and pick it up and start reading it, because I've read Jane Eyre like 3 times. So there is that copy of Jane Eyre. But I will get to, because I have these in alphabetical order, so I will get to, so I've read Agnes Gray. I recently bought Tenant Wildfell Hall. Let me see if I can, where is it? If I can find it. Somewhere. It's somewhere. I don't know where. I do have a copy of it somewhere that I bought recently. It's somewhere. Should be around here somewhere. Let me see, where is it? Wuthering Heights. I do not know where it is. But I think I've shown it to you guys before, and I think it's a Penguin Black Spine edition of the Tenant Wildfell Hall. But anyway, so I also have Armadillo. Let me see, that one should be a little easier because I know I just spotted it. This is so Armadillo, which is by Wilkie Collins, and like I said, I've started this one, and this is one of those ones where I feel like I need to pick a day to read it, to just start reading it, and when there's not as many distractions. Like, I don't know if I can read this in the car trips when traveling, because it would be kind of hard to read, and I need like full concentration on this one, I feel like, and just take a deep dive into it. And then once I do, then I think I can, once I've read enough, I can like really get into it. But this is a mystery, I think. I think all Wilkie Collins' books are kind of a mystery. And there's these two guys that have the same name. And that's kind of the mystery, is why they have the same name. And like, and this is definitely one I need to start over with. Because it's like, my thing is, I'm thinking, I want to read the book that I haven't heard a lot about. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this. I'm like, oh, I want to read that one, because who knows, maybe that one will be my favorite. Because everyone either loves The Woman in White or The Moonstone. That's their favorite one. I'm going to get a new copy of The Moonstone at some point. I don't know when, though. But everyone, talks about, and so I was thinking, no, I want to read the one that's lesser known, and I still haven't really, and obviously I have started it, but like I said, I feel like I need more time to really take a deep dive and read a lot of it. But yeah, this is, so Armadillo by Wilkie Collins. And then The Awakening and Other Short Stories is probably somewhere in this pile, somewhere. Oh, and I do have some. And that one, by Kate Choppin, and I think I have read The Awakening in school. So, and I don't know what her other stories were. And I know that, I believe The Awakening had was very controversial when it first came out. And it's, I don't know if people consider it a feminist novel to short story today or not. I mean, there might be some debate about that. But I do want to read that one. I just haven't gotten around to it. And like I said, I'm trying to decide, do I read that one first? Because that one is towards the end. It's later on in the collection. But it's like the main attraction of the novel is the awakening being in there. But it's not the first one. Let me see if I can. Oh, sorry. Oh, here. Okay, good. So, yeah. So, Awakening Other Short Stories by Kate Choppin. And a little introduction, which is not that long, so I could read it. So yeah, it's not the first story. It's the main attraction. I mean, but it's the main attraction. It's like, you know, in a circus you have your main thing, but you have all these other stuff around it. But it's not necessarily the first thing you see, because they want to keep you reading, so they want to keep you there interested, so they don't put it there, the main attraction, or the thing that's supposed to keep people on the seats and keep people interested. They don't put it like as the first thing. They just wait, and then they to keep you interested, and then they tell you about it. It's kind of like that. So they have From the Bayou, and which I guess that's a section, like the first section of stories from the Bayou, I guess. And that's 1894. So A Love en Bandu, Beyond the Bayou, A Visit to Alonzi's Avoylis, La Belle Zordaire, Zoraide in Sabine, For a Night in Acadia, 1897, Osme Holiday, A Matter of Prejudice, at Chenère Caminada, A Respectable Woman, Regret, Aphanies, A Night in Arcady, in The Awakening. So, sorry, I'm trying to say the French, or at least sort of pronounce it, but I don't know French. I never studied French, so yeah, so The Awakening is the last one. So it's like, do I read the other ones first, and then get to The Awakening? So there's that one. This is the Modern Library Edition. Okay, so I guess I need to mark this one. Okay, and then we have Bleak House, which I've read. I finally read the whole thing. That is Bleak House by Charles Dickens, is one of his more popular, more famous and known works. And because I recently discovered Tristan and the Classics channel, which he's a really great booktuber, and I really like listening to him. He's one that if he were a teacher of classics, I would love sitting on his lectures. I mean, there's just some people in booktube that I just like listening to them, hearing them talk, and just having their very soothing voice and attractive sounding voice, just talking about books. It's like, and he kind of got me excited to give Bleak House another shot. He does these videos where he talks about, like, does kind of like deep dives, and he also gives, and on classics, and he did one on Bleak House, and it just got me excited all over again. But the problem was I had started reading Dombey and Son, so not that there's any rule against reading two Dickens books at the same time, but his books are very long, so I felt like, I should at least make some progress on Dombey and Son before I get to this one. But yeah, this is also the same kind of edition that I have for Villette, which I just did a review on. It's the World Cloud Classics edition, or no, not the World Cloud Classics. It's the World Cloud Classics are these smaller ones with the flexi-bound binding, and this is the Arcturus. And I think this is, I don't know if this is just Books A Million only sold editions, but I kind of like the bright colors and the kind of cartoonish, like not, the animated version, not cartoonish as like a lot of those romance novels, but sort of a similar idea to that. With you have the silhouette and then the background, whatever, the image. These are very colorful and fun to look at. And it's kind of like how the a lot of romances today, how they do a lot of cartoon-like covers, which are really cute. And it's kind of a similar style of that, these Arcturus editions. So I have read it, but I want to reread it at some point. Okay, and then we have, so this is probably not gonna, I need to cross this one off, but I do have The Beautiful and Damned, and I've kind of moved on from Fitzgerald. I mean, I still love his writing, but I feel like all the stories are about the same kind of thing. And they just, I read a short story collection, which is a lot of stories in there by him, and they were kind of fun, but they just got repetitive after a while. They were all about a lot of the same thing, either a poor or a rich boy falling for a girl, and there's alcoholism in a lot of his books, and there's a lot of rich people snobbery, and Southern belles, and it has a lot of the same things. He is a great writer. He has beautiful writing, although he does steal a lot from Zelda, but yeah, he is a great writer, or at least his actual the writing itself. But like I said, it just feels like he writes the same thing. Now, I would really love a movie about Fitzgerald and his crazy antics. And that would be a great dramatic biopic. It would be a very entertaining movie, and just to see his life with Zelda and just seeing their journey and how their complicated, heartbreaking relationship and how toxic they were for each other. And I got it, because he was in Midnight in Paris as Fitzgerald. I would love to see Tom Hiddleston playing Fitzgerald in a biopic. I think he would do a really great job. But yeah, so I've moved on from Fitzgerald. I don't know if I'm going to continue with him. I mean, I think I still have the physical copy of the book, and who knows, maybe I'll buy it. I might buy some of his books in paperbacks and just, give them all their shot and get cheap versions of them. But I need to cross up Beyond the Dam, because I'm probably not going to read it, because I think it's basically about a lot of things he writes about in his other books. I'm currently reading this next one, Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I still cannot say it. Like I said, I need to hear it multiple times and just practice saying the author's last name, Fyodor Dostoevsky. And oh my god, I can understand. Again, Kate Fell, I think her last name, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. But I can understand her being DNF in this book and being like, I don't like any of the characters except for Alyosha, because he's the best one of the bunch. He's so good-hearted and good-natured. He's a man of God, and, I think with those kind of characters that are, monks or priests or whatever, I think that all those characters can either go be extremely, genuinely a good person that has strong, high morals, maybe a little preachy, but still a good person, or you can someone that is like, they seem like they're good, but they're actually not. They're a very sinister, cruel person, and they just hide behind God and their religious beliefs. I think those are the two ways you usually go with these kind of characters who are like religious figures, and I think that he's the former. Alyosha is the former, where he's a good person who really cares about his family and tries to be the peacekeeper amongst them. Although I think he's wasting his time. But this is really good, because I'm someone who actually likes toxic characters. No, not necessarily in romance situations. I don't always like those, I mean, I might watch a movie with that, but not actually read a book that has to do with that kind of relationship. Because those are so fascinating, and I wonder how people find themselves. And I hope I never find myself in that kind of situation where I make a mistake and end up in a toxic romantic relationship if I ever find one. If I ever decide to, get into a romantic relationship, which is not going to happen, by the way. I mean, if I do meet someone, that'd be great. But, if I ever find myself, I just hope I'm never in a toxic relationship. It's not like, as far as romance goes. But, these characters are just so compelling to read about. And, you just, in their selfishness, and they're hateful, and I just did not understand, there's a plot point where the father of these boys falls in love with this young woman who's a girl compared to him, but then she is messing with the brothers too, and it's like, how? Why is the father into this woman as well? I mean, the same woman that his two sons are into. That's just disgusting in my opinion. It's like, why, and it doesn't, just, I can't even fathom it. I just don't understand it. It's just so weird. It's like, why? It's not healthy. It's, why don't you find someone your own age? Of course, I guess young girls in his mind are easier to deal with. I don't know. But, and I guess this girl is really powerful and beautiful. She has effect on the two brothers and the father. So, I'm reading this right now, and let's see if I can easily grab it. So, this one I bought recently at the roast office, so you guys have probably seen it, and I just recently saw another copy, this exact one, at the roast office the other day when I was there. But that's the Buccaneers, and I believe this is her about women trying to, set in the 1870s, about these two women, these wealthy American women who are denied to enter in society because of new money, apparently, which, that's so weird. I've seen both in Titanic and The Gilded Age on HBO, which is a great show, by the way, are, kind of deal with the idea of the difference between old money and new money. And it's very weird. Just the idea of people, there's such a thing as old money and new money. Which so these women are denied in society, these 5 women. So they're given the suggestion to go to Europe by their governess. And they all marry, lords and earls and dukes. And, of course, the guys decide to use their wealth to their advantage. And going by the title of the Buccaneers, I was thinking this was about pirates. but it's not about pirates, although you could consider, it's, but, yeah, so, I thought, this is kind of interesting, this sounded really interesting, and, so yeah, I need to read that one soon. And let's see. Okay, so, and then we have the Barsetshire series by Anthony Trollope. I've read The Warden, the Barchester Towers, and Dr. Thorne. So now I need to read Family Parsonage, and then the last last house on Allendale or something like that, and then there's the last book, the last part, I don't remember what it's called. So I've read a few of this. So I've read the first 3 books in that series. So okay, so now we're talking about the Count of Monte Cristo. And this one took me a long time to read. This was one of my first classics I ever owned. And then finally, in this year, when I moved here, I actually started to get into it, picked it up, and started reading it, and actually really enjoying it. And I think because of its size, it was very intimidating. And it's a little slow moving, and there were times I was reading this, I was like, what does this have to do with the main plot? Is there a reason for this? And so I picked it up, and I finally started reading it, but then I kept putting it down, even though I was liking it. I kept putting it down because it's so long, and it's a bit slow at times. Finally, I got the audiobook, because I have an audiobook reader on my phone that comes with the iPhone, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get on an audiobook and just listen to the whole thing on that. So I did, and that allowed me to actually finish this book. And this is so great. This is so fun. It's a revenge tale. It's really thrilling. It was considered the sensational novel of the time period. Now it's a classic. And I had a great time with this. And I definitely recommend it. And I'm actually reading his other book, The Three Musketeers. Which, let's see if I can... I do not know where. Let me see if I can find Three Musketeers. It's somewhere. I don't know where though. Somewhere around here. It's the So I did start reading that. But yeah, it really helps with the audiobook. Reading this with listening to the audiobook to finish it out. So Oh, here it is. I'm sorry, Emma. I'm sorry, Hermione, didn't mean to crush you. Okay, so this is my copy of Three Musketeers that I'm currently reading as well. And this was one that Tristan was doing a read-along this month, but then I think something happened in my personal life, and for a few days, I didn't want to read, so I haven't picked this book up in a while. And there are times in this book can be a little tedious at times. So I got up to at least, I'm almost at page 100, but I'm on chapter 8. So in the first that first week you were supposed to read it, they were reading up to chapter 14. So I got pretty close, but like I said, I got sidetracked with personal stuff, and I didn't feel like reading it, so, and it is fun, I mean, like, I feel like sometimes Dumas' his writing can be a little slow. Okay, so, and then we have one of my favorite classics, Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, and I feel like I read this at just the right time. And for me to really enjoy it, because I could see a book like that getting boring after a while, because Dostoevsky is at times can be very philosophical and I feel like that can sometimes get a little boring and tedious. But I was just really enjoying it and really fascinated. I do want to reread it soon. I don't know when though. So this next one is a collection of 3 of Dickens's, I guess, Christmas stories. This one is A Christmas Carol, which I've read twice now since I own a copy. And then I read Chimes, and which was okay. It wasn't anything, special or anything, but it was kind of interesting. And then I'm going to read The Haunted Man this year, around Christmas time. So maybe I might like that better than Chimes, I hope. And then I have, last Christmas got Christmas 2020, I think was the year I got The Collected Works of Oscar Wilde, which is most of his works, I think, is in that one. And if not all of it. And he only wrote the one novel, which is one of my favorites, The Picture of Dorian Gray. And then, the rest of his work is like plays and short stories. I've read A Woman of No Importance and The Importance of Being Earnest by him. So those are some of his plays. And then we have The Complete Poems of Emily Dickinson, which I read and really enjoyed it. They were very beautiful poems, which I guess I can put that in red now. So I put everything that I've read in red. And then Can You Forgive Her? So I want to, which is Anthony Trollope, and I want to finish reading the Barsetshire series first, because I think Can You Forgive Her starts his other series. I cannot remember what it's called. The Parliament series or something like that. So I think it's like a more government type series, while the other one is more about the church in the little town. And that starts his second series. So I'm trying to get through Barsetshire series and maybe read some of the standalones, and then I'll start the other series. Okay, and then we have Daniel Deronda, which I think is George Eliot. And I believe it's this kid, our title character, Daniel Deronda. He falls in love with this one woman. And I want to say the character, his religion is he's Jewish. And, of course, back then, I think being Jewish was a pretty, controversial thing or something. But I think he falls in love with this woman in that one, but she's kind of a bitch to him, I think. And then Dracula, which I've read quite a few times, and I have very mixed feelings on Dracula. I think it's worth reading as the first one of the early vampire novels, the one that is set in our minds of pop culture. And I like it to an extent, but and I definitely like it better than the first time I read it when I was like a teenager. But it is kind of, at times, it was kind of boring. And, the ending the climax was very lackluster. Let me see if I can. No, because I don't want to mess up that. But my version of it is World Classics. The small ones are a little bit bigger than mass market. They have the flexi-bound binding, and they have the title and quotes from it engraved into the flexi-bound material. So, and then we have Dr. Zhivago. I haven't read that one yet. It's a Russian classic. And I think both my parents have seen the movie of that one. That was a very famous movie. Okay, with Copperfield, this is another Dickens, and I want to read this one. I mean, again, I've already read it once. And it's another long one about, like, it's the closest to autobiographical for Dickens, I think. It's just like how Villette is autobiographical in some respects to Charlotte Bronte. And I do want to reread it. So I'm currently reading this next one, Dombey and Son. If I can. And I think some of Tristan's suggestions on how to, annotate and read books like this really helps. I was able to underline and focus, and highlight things and like pay attention more to what I was reading. But this is a father who he is very excited to share his business with his son, but he had a daughter first, and he kind of ignores her, doesn't take her seriously, thinks, what can a girl do for me? And he's all about his son, but his son still has a lot of growing up to do. And his son, from what I hear, is not exactly what he expected. So obviously I haven't got very far yet. But I'm really liking it so far. Really enjoying that, and that's this one. And I think there are actually 2 copies. This is the first Black Spines edition, Penguin Black Spines, but I think there's another one with a painting that is actually also used for copies of The Warden as well. Which, I don't know if anyone else notices that, but I notice how a lot of classics that are published with the Penguins they use a lot of the same paintings on the cover. Which I find really funny that I can recognize if they've already used the painting once. So, there's that one. That's one of the ones I'm currently reading. And then you have, and then Emma I've read twice now, and this is one of my favorite editions of classics. These vintage classics editions. And I've read this one twice now. And I really like it. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. But that was really nice. Seeing my mouth open really wide. And, so there's that one. And my Mansfield Park is also in this edition as well. So I've read that one twice. And then we have Ethan Frome, which I already talked about. And my copy of Ethan Frome is in a collection of other short stories. And I think that's the Arcturus edition of that one. So, and then East of Eden, I finally finished that I think last year, towards the end of last year, I finished it. And that's in the Centennial edition, actually. Which I think was really, 4 great plays by Heinrich Ibsen. I did read The Dollhouse, but I do want to reread it. And that's one of my handful of mass markets, because I still have plenty of mass markets, but I'm taking a lot of them off the shelf to switch them out to regular size paperbacks. Okay, so I'm gonna reread this, but oh my god, I gotta show you guys. I love my edition of Frankenstein. Now I don't know if this is based on the 1832 or 31 or the 1818 edition of this. If this one is based on but I love this. This is the 200th anniversary edition, illustrated by David Plunkett, and I love the artwork in this one. It's like it reminds me of my edition of Animal Farm that I used to have. But my edition of Animal Farm is actually over there in the pile of books that I'm saving for the kids. And, or books that are going to Terry. I have a separate pile over there for that, and near my bed. And I put my copy of Animal Farm. because it kind of was taking up space. And this is also this is the main company that also puts out, this is Sweetwater Press, and I believe they're the same company that puts out the Arcturus editions as well. But I love this one. It's so cool. I love the they have all this cool artwork in this one. Let me show you a better picture. That I think is really cool. They look like paintings. But I really love this. But I want to reread Frankenstein via this edition of it. I just had to get this one because it's one, like I said, this is one of my favorite classics. So I've read this one now. I'm going to read it again soon. I think I've only read it once. And I've been meaning to reread again. And then we have Great Expectations. That's another one where I really like the cover. Let me see if I can. There's that one because I love that it looks like a painting. I think that's really cool. So this is the modern library edition. And so I've read that one once, and that's another one I want to reread this year. Okay, and then we have The Great Gatsby. I've read that one probably as many times as I've read Jane Eyre. And then we have some more, and then we have another collection, Edith Warren's Ghost Stories. That edition is okay. This is what I found at Thrift Books. I mean, not Thrift Books, at what I found at the roast office. So that's some of her ghost stories. I'm gonna read that at some point, and I don't know if I'm gonna wait until October or what, but because that's when we do Victober, and I tried to do different readathons. Different in October, like 3, and it did not go well. And then we have Grapes of Wrath. And I guess the next one after Grapes of Wrath, I also gotta cross off. I don't see if I could find it amongst all this. There's. Okay. Let's see. Oh, here. So this is my same edition of East of Eden. This was another situation where I preferred this edition over others. Like I originally had, it wasn't in Grapes of Wrath. My East of Eden edition was originally the Penguin Black Spines, but then I decided I would get this edition, and then I put my edition of East of Eden in donation pile. But I don't remember if it was for the donation for, like, if it's still over there, if it's going to the roast office, or if it's going somewhere else, or if it was one that I went to send to Black Castle. But I got East of Eden in this edition, but this is the Centennial edition, and I actually remember seeing this play with my dad at Ford's Theater in DC. And, oh my god, I feel so bad because I was so tired during that I fell asleep on him. Because this is not the most exciting plot. It's basically about the Job family, I think. And it has the, wherever there's a blah blah blah, I'll be there speech. I think that comes from this book. And it's this family during the gold rush, the Jobs, trying to find, they're going to California. It's in the 1930s, and so the play is not it's not a super exciting story, but I imagine it's more interesting to read the book, and so I have this, and then, like I said, East of Eden in this edition, and then I got Of Mice and Men in this edition as well, although I put that in the donation pile, or the donation to my nephew's pile, my nephews and my niece. So there's that one, and then, okay, so I might cross off Gone with the Wind. That one might be going. I don't know if I'm going to get another copy of that one or not, because I do like it. I might get a new, nicer copy of Gone with the Wind. And now we're down to the Ages, which is Shirley Jackson's Haunting of Hill House, and this is the only Shirley Jackson I've read so far. And I keep, occasionally looking at her other, We Have Always Lived in the Castle, I think is her other most famous one. And there's been there was an adaptation with Catherine Zeta-Jones. The woman from The Conjuring, the first movie that came out. It's the woman the mother who got possessed. She's in it in the version of the first movie version. Owen Wilson, Liam Neeson, and I think that's all of them. The whole main cast. And if you don't like Owen Wilson and you want to see his head get decapitated, watch Haunting of Hill House. But this is really good. I've been meaning to reread it. I always after watching someone's review of it, it's always, the way people talk about certain books like this, it makes me want to reread them again. So that, there's that one. And The House of Mirth, like I said, that I think will be my next Edith Wharton book that I'm going to read, The Historian. Well, actually that one should be crossed off too, because that's not a classic. That is a more recent one. So I meant to cross that one off, take that one off the list, because that's not this is just my classics, and that's not technically, maybe, who knows, if it could potentially become a classic in the future. But it's not. It's a contemporary novel, so I need to take that one off. So then we have The Histories, which is a nonfiction, and I just realized I have House of Mirth on here twice, so I'll need to go through and take that off. So we have the House of Mirth on here twice, but the Histories are the first history book that was ever written, and I think it was written in ancient times, so it's an old one. It's really old. So I have that one in the Barnes & Noble Classics collection. I really like this because I like how each book is a different color. Each border on there. And it has the artwork on there just like penguin black spines. And then we have The Idiot by Dostoevsky. And this is one of the few hardbacks I have. And it's Modern Library. There's nothing on here. It's just except for the Modern Library icon. And I wanted to read The Brothers Karamazov first before I read this one. Although I clearly did kind of start it. So I'm going to take this out. Because by the time I get around to it, I probably won't remember anything that I read. But see, this was one of these things where the other copies if there were other copies of Black Castle books at the Idiot, they were probably mass market. So I'm trying to stay away from those. And, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in and get a hardback because I get this hardback because I like its look. And the guy did give me a discount price. Because I kind of, he gave me he was like, he decided to give it to me for a lower price, which was nice. Which I need to go back there. It's just very hard to schedule time to go back there because if I want to bring books to be donated, I have to call them 24 hours in advance. So, and then I also have to, because it's I still have to be driven there, so I have to make sure someone's available to take me. So it's a bit of a difficult, for me to schedule times. But yeah, so this is really, and, I don't entirely hate, I don't know, I think I definitely prefer hardbacks over, mass markets, because these are usually, hardbacks are really nice to look at, and I like that vintagey look. And that's on this, definitely vintage looking. But I believe Kate Fell talked about this book, and she feels like The Idiot was kind of the first representation of autism. Even though they didn't say it. So, but like I said, I want to read the Brothers Karamazov first. Okay, so we have the Iliad. Let's see if I can find that one somewhere. Which I know you should I probably should have read this one first, but I didn't. I read the Odyssey first for some reason. And this is my copy of the Iliad, translated by Robert Fitzgerald. I don't know if he's a good translator. Lately, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about how there are certain translations that are better than others with these books like this. Although I really like and that it's I like the cover because it looks like ancient, that the style of on like oh well, it did win the 1976 Harold Morton Landon Translation Award. And the Atlantic Monthly gave a good review, and so did the Library Journal. So I don't know if this is a good, according to these guys, it is. But who knows? I would have to watch. I have to look up translations, look it up and see. Not that I'm gonna buy any other copies of it, but I would be curious if this is a good translation or not. But I'm probably, even if I do find out, I'm probably not gonna. It's not like I'm gonna buy another copy. And this was not that. I mean, this was at the roast office, so it wasn't that expensive. I think. Oh wait, no, actually, this actually might have been a Black Castle purchase. I don't know, but either way, it wasn't super expensive. I mean, it was really dirt cheap at the roast office, but and granted, it may be a little more expensive at Black Castle, but it's no different than, it probably wouldn't be any different than if I got off thrift books if this was something I got at Black Castle. So I haven't read this one, but I have read the Odyssey. Okay, so you guys, I showed you guys my copy of Jane Eyre that I absolutely love, and I've read that one 3 times now, and I'm tempted to read that again this year. So I've read Julius Caesar, but that was in high school, so I do want to reread it. And actually, there were some classics that I got here, classic nonfiction that were inspired by Julius Caesar, and the Emperor series, which is not a classic, it's a historical fiction. So then we have Jamaica, and which I've heard a lot about from Murphy Napier, saying it's a good book. And then we have Lady Anna, which is Anthony Trollope. That's one of my handful of mass markets. My copy of Lady Anna, although it's the same cover. And then we have Lady Audley's Secret, which I was gonna read that for Victober last year, and I brought it with me because we went out of town in October, if I remember correctly. And I did read some of it. And I can't remember if it was Elizabeth Gaskell or George Eliot, Mary Elizabeth. I think Mary Elizabeth Braddon. Yeah, it was Mary Elizabeth Braddon who wrote that one. And then with Little Dorrit, which is a Charles Dickens. I have not read that. My cover of that one is, I think, the mini-series cover. So the TV adaptation cover. And Letters from John Abigail Adams, one of the few nonfictions I have in classics. And I did start that one. I read a few of the letters. But I didn't make a lot of progress. So I've been meaning to read those. I might read that this summer. Because I just feel like, since the Declaration of Independence was written in the American Revolution, I think took place during the summer. So I thought it would be a perfect time to read that one during the summer. And The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, I read Sleepy Hollow itself, and I've also read Rip Van Winkle, and I was kind of disappointed with both. I mean, like, I did like The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, but it still wasn't as satisfying as the Tim Burton movie. Tim Burton movie was great. It was awesome. But, you know, it's one of these things, you kind of know what you're getting with, you know, I had already heard about it from Terry and what she's heard from other people about Sleepy Hollow, the actual story. Although she might, and I did see him play, so I kind of know how the original story went, how it wasn't as fun as, like, Tim Burton's movie. But it's one of these situations where the adaptations are better, in my opinion, than the original classic. And then it has a whole bunch of other stories. I keep debating about keeping that one, though. And then we have Middlemarch, which is another one that took me a long time, and I finally finished it. But there's a lot of people who have talked about it, including Tristan in the classics that have talked about it and did reviews, and now makes me definitely want to reread it and try it again. Okay, and then we have the Moonstone, which I do have a copy of it, a mass market, but I want to get a different copy of it. And then this one, the next one, is The Monk. And that was one of the situations where I attempted to buy it, and then I looked up reviews, and I wasn't so sure about it, so I ended up not buying it. And then I decided to buy it, give it another shot, and I bought it. And the copy I have is really great because it is, here's House of Mirth, by the way. My copy of House of Mirth. I originally borrowed my sister's copy of it, which is mass market. I recently it was given back to her via my mom because she was visiting her and staying at their place helping her watch her kids. And because I bought this copy. Because I prefer, like I said, I prefer this size paperbacks. But I still have some mass markets. But here is The Monk. So I finally decided to give it another shot, and I was just kind of inspired, like, because Emma, she was gonna read this. I don't know if she's already read it or not. And I'm gonna give it another shot. And it actually is blurbed by Stephen King. Or no, not blurb. It actually has an introduction by Stephen King. And it's on Oxford World Classics. The monk was the black engine of sex and the supernatural. And that was at first kind of why I was uncertain about it, because of the pervy stuff. The sex is a little reluctant about it, to read it. But the supernatural, I really like. I was interested. The change that changed the genre and the novel itself forever. This has never been anything quite like it. At this writing, the book is over 200 years old and still explosive. So, I mean, the fact that Stephen King blurbed it, I mean, and wrote the introduction makes me a little more into it. I'm curious. And I almost want to read it, like, now. But, okay, so then we have Mary Barton, and I think that's by Elizabeth Glasgow. And I definitely want to read that one. And it kind of falls similar, I think, like with her book North and South. I think it also is about the Industrial Revolution. It takes place during the Industrial Revolution. And then you have Mansfield Park, which I already read, and I'm going to reread that one. And then we have Much Ado About Nothing, which I've seen the play a couple times, but I haven't actually read the play. So I know the story. I just haven't physically read the play. And I decided to buy it. And my copy of it is a mass market, but I do like the edition, except for the size. And The Merchant of Venice, is in the same edition. Oh, here they are. Right there. So then we have the Folgers. That's what they're. Folgers Shakespeare Library. So this is a mass market version, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's a play, so it's not as much. It's not as much of a hassle. And I think this one has a lot of good. These editions have a lot of great notes. And then The Merchant of Venice, which is one of his least popular plays, I think. But I saw and I decided to take advantage and try it out. Who knows? I might even like this one. But and actually, Tristan in the Classics does this really good video explaining Iambic pentameter, the writing that he does, that Shakespeare does, Iambic pentameter. It kind of has a sing-songy quality, and apparently it's kind of in the beat of your heart, the way your heart thumps, and that's why it's so popular and so beloved. It like has a very powerful effect on people. So I really like I like these. I just wish this copy of Much Ado About Nothing was a little bit bigger. But it also is a play, so it probably won't be as challenging to read in this physical size. Okay, so and then we have Moby Dick, which is the same kind of style as the same artwork as Great Expectations, that kind of painted look to it, which I think is really, I really like it. And I think people, because I don't remember who it was, and it might have been someone like Steve Donahue or something, or someone, I cannot remember who it was, but one of the male booktubers I watched talked about how he didn't like how, it could have been a female booktuber, I don't remember. I remember one of the booktubers I watched was talking about how they didn't really like how most of the depictions, the covers in Moby Dick, the whale is seen as really vicious and monstrous on the cover, and this one, I think that person would really like this cover because it's really pretty and has kind of an artwork quality, also like a chalky look to it, and it just shows the whale. Although the whale is crushing a boat, I noticed. But there's no one in it, so you can't tell. So either way, I like this. So it's a little different, but very similar at the same time. I mean, it's still modern library, so. And as you can see, I've read some of it, and it's surprisingly not as hard as I thought. I mean, I haven't got to the whole, like, all the descriptions of whale part, but it's not super hard to read, you know? I mean, as long as Jennifer Brooks said, you know, you just gotta know what you're getting into when you read this, and if, you know. Just trying to put these back. I don't want to take too many books out. Okay, and then we have Master Margarita. I haven't read, and I recently discovered at the Roast Office a historical fiction based of how the author, whose name I do not remember at the moment, what inspired him, like a fictionalized version of what inspired him to write Master Margarita. So it'd be kind of cool to read those two together, or at least one right after the other. And then we have The Milt and the Floss. That's George Eliot, I believe, one of her shorter novels that I have. And that one might be my copy of that one might be mass market. Yeah. It's an older Penguin edition. Which is this the same? Oh, okay, so is it mass market? I don't know. No, actually, I think that might be bigger. I don't know. I'll have to. I'll have to check that out later, so. Let me see something. Sorry, you guys. Okay, so no, it's not mass market. I don't know. There it is. So I don't know if these. Yeah, I think these are bigger than mass market. I don't think these are mass market. It's just they're a little bit smaller. Or maybe they're bean paperback. I don't know. But this is The Mill and the Foss by George Eliot. So I haven't read this one yet, but I'm gonna pick it up soon. Okay, and then we have. Okay, so Les Mis, which I've read an abridged copy of it, but I'm rereading it now, the actual copy. And then we have, so I do have it on here as a read, but I'm currently rereading it because I read the abridged version of it. And the Notes from the Underground and the Double. These are really cool stories by Dostoevsky. I need to reread Notes from the Underground. The Double is really interesting and almost kind of creepy in a way. Find out you have a double of yourself, and the guy thinking his double was going to take his life, take over his life. And then you have Northanger Abbey. I haven't read Lady Susan or Juvenilia, but Northanger Abbey I plan to read this year, and I'm trying to decide if I want to wait until October or just read it now. I mean, I might start reading Mansell Park, my reread of that, and then save Northanger Abbey. Okay, so then we have Oliver Twist, which I already read once, but I did plan to reread it this year. Our Mutual Friend, which I have started that one, I haven't continued with it. And then we have the Odyssey. You guys know I've read that one, and my copy of the Odyssey is okay, I have books in front of it, so I can't get to it at the moment. But it's a cloth-bound edition. I have two cloth-bound editions. Sensibility and then the Odyssey are in the cloth-bound, which I really like those, and I like to get more of them. That one, and there's another one a copy of Everyman's Library I really like. Those are the hardbacks I really like. I would collect. Okay, so then we're finally on Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, which you guys know I've read. I've already mentioned that. And I read A Woman of No Importance. I haven't read the other ones in that one. And then we have the Oedipus plays, which I think I did when I did that one semester when I took a theater class. We had to do a scene from one of the Oedipus plays. And I remember there's a Buffy episode where they do a talent show, and they end the episode during the credits with a scene where Buffy, Xander, and Willow are supposed to do a scene from the Oedipus, one of the Oedipus plays. And they neither of them wanted to do it, but they're forced to because the principal wants to, because the writer does not like them. And Buffy, and Willow freezes up and runs off the stage halfway through, and there's barely any emotion from Xander or Buffy, but they do it anyway. Buffy's just dreading, does not want to be there, and you have Xander and Willow are panicking. Xander, of course, when he panics, he just freezes. He does the lines, but he's frozen on stage at the same time. And then, like I said, Willow takes off. It's a really funny scene, and I think a lot of people that did theater can, relate to it. It was really funny. And then, like I said, Old New York. That's some of Warden's other short stories. Because I've read 2 of them. And then we have Of Mice and Men, which is it's a shorter novel. It's a novella from Steinbeck, and I read it twice now, and I like it. You know, I mean, I don't think it's the best short novella ever, but I did like it, and I would like to introduce it to the boys, my nephews, and of course my niece too. So it's just, she still got a way, you know. I mean, all three of them have a way to go, but you know, I don't know if she would be interested in that because it's hard to determine when it comes to, you know, what they're going to be into. Because, you know, she could be the, you know, stereotypical girl who likes romances, or she might not. She might like adventure or something, and, you know, it's hard to determine that. I mean, she's just a baby, like, literally. Like, she'll be 1 this summer. And then the Pick-Up Papers, which I didn't like, and I ended up putting the donation pile, my copy of it. And I don't know, I might want to give her another shot, but I would have to buy another copy of it. But that was one that I was just kind of trying to get through. I don't know, I didn't love it as much as some people do. And the same with Hard Times by Dickens. So I got rid of both those were donated. And I love the Picture of Dorian Gray. Which I've read twice now. And then the poetry of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. What's the other? There's another one that I said. I don't know, but Elizabeth Barrett Browning, I've read all of her poems. I really like them. They were fun. And I remember reading some work by her husband when I took a poetry class in college. Which was really fun. And I liked that teacher. And then I've read Phantom of the Opera. I had that one. I like that one, but I still prefer the movie adaptation. Again, another one of those ones. I should really do a video discussion on ones where I prefer movie adaptations or TV show adaptations over the original source material. I think that'd be a very interesting video. But I would be worried because I don't want, you know, and then Paradise Lost. That is one that I'm kind of in the middle of. And I've been wanting to read that one first before I get back to Dante. I don't know why. I just feel like because I got that one first, I feel like I should read that one first. And then we have Pride and Prejudice, which I've read once, and I want to reread it again. And then we're on the Portable Dante. So this is this one has his Divine Comedy, but it also has Vita Nostra, or I think is that, I don't know. But that one is, I think that one was dedicated to his lady love, Beatrice, the one he was in love with, even though he was married, and so was she. So I did start, that was the one I did start. I think I got to the 3rd canto in that one. 3rd or 4th canto. But first, like I said, I feel like I should get back to Paradise Lost before I get back to Dante. And then we have Don Quixote, which I did start this one, because last time we went away to my grandma's, I brought it with me, so I read a little bit of that one. So it was one of these things where I couldn't decide, and I just was like, you know, I'm bringing all these books with me. So I can at least start them all. So, and then we have Rebecca, I've read twice now, and I really love that. Like I said, the most recent adaptation probably doesn't do it justice. But that's the thing about adaptations. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're decent, sometimes they're like, oh, that's the worst movie ever. Okay, so we have The Republics and Other Works. So this is a little bit of an adventure for me. Not like... Epic poetry is not as much of an adventure because, where is it? I don't know. Oh, I think it's under some books because epic poetry still tells a story. It's still a story. While this or the Republic and other works is more, it's a philosophy. So it's a little more of a challenge for me. And it's very different. But I actually remember it was my uncle who first put the idea in my head about the Republic. Which was very surprising. But you know what? I mean, maybe as a lawyer, my uncle would, that this book might be, helpful in a way. Okay, so Sense and Sensibility. I've read that one twice now. I really enjoy that one. And again, I have a soft spot for it because it's about sisters. I have mind the Clothbound edition, and then we have Silas Marner, which is a really sweet story, and I think the relationship is really sweet in that one. The main relationship, and it's not a romantic one. It's actually kind of a father-daughter relationship, which I think is really cute. It's one of her George Eliot's shorter works. So it's really good. Really very touching. And then we have Scenes of a Clerical Life. And that was let's see if I can find that one. I do not know where that one is. But I want to say that one is... Wait, it might be... No. I don't know where that one is. Oh, no. Where is it? I don't know who... But it's one of the women authors, like Edith Wharton or George Eliot or someone. Was another one that's kind of very different for me and something I just wanted to try. And it's an author that, it's like I said, it's one of the authors that I've been slowly accumulating her books and trying to read all of her books. But I don't remember which one at the moment. And then we have Four Tragedies by Shakespeare. Now this is a naked hardback version of it with 4 of his plays. But again, it's plays, and I think that'll be easier to read plays in mass market, as a mass market or copy. I don't think that one would be as tedious to read in mass market size, but I really liked. But that one was really good. And then we have selected works of Edgar Allan Poe, and I've read some of those stories. Again, one where I'm a little like, some of the ones I've read so far are just kind of like, they're good. I mean, it's definitely better than Fitzgerald's collection. At least they're all different. But still, it's still a little like, okay, this is okay, But that's how I feel about a lot of times with short stories. I feel like, sometimes short stories can just, like, you can have really beautiful writing, but they're just unsatisfying for me. Like, I read some of Dickens' short stories and some of his Christmas ones other than the 3 that I have, and it just wasn't, like, it was kind of a letdown. Okay, and then I don't have this one in red but I have read it, and that is Something Wicked This Way Come, and this was so great. This is the same guy who wrote Fahrenheit 451. Let's see if I can show you my copy. I really like this edition. I like, how it looks like a circus tent design, and I really enjoyed this one. And there is a movie adaptation, and it actually, the guy who played Elizabeth Swann's father, I cannot remember the actor's name. He also was in the Man Who Invented Christmas. He played Dickens' father. he plays the bad guy in this movie, in this story, in the movie adaptation. And I did see it years and years ago at a sleepover. We watched it. For some reason, I thought the main character was a girl. I do not know why. But, I remember seeing it. It's been a long time though, so I don't remember exactly how the animation was, but I do remember we watched it at a sleepover at a friend's house. And, so I remember reading this, and I know it's technically part of a series, because there's Dandelion Wine is the first one, and it's like basically a series where it takes place, it has one commonality, which is I think they all take place in the same place, the same town. And this was just so good and so atmospheric and so creepy, and it's like the idea of a circus and stuff like that. Like, I feel like like if you like the night circus for the atmosphere, then you might like this. Like I said, it's for the atmosphere, not the romance, because there's no romance. It's basically these two boys and this creepy carnival where the ringmaster kind of gives you your greatest desires, but it comes at a price. So, yeah. So that's great. And then we have A Tale of Two Cities, which I've read twice now, I think. I remember the first time I read it was when one of my college class, we had to write an essay, a college literature class, and we had to write some kind of essay, and I chose that book to write the essay on. I was very proud of it. I could argue that it was my entry novel into the world of Dickens. And then you have Treasure Island, which, again, another one that I kind of have mixed feelings on. Because I enjoyed it, but there were aspects of it that could have been improved on. So I already mentioned Tenant of Wildfell Hall and The Three Musketeers. And then we have Travels of Marco Polo. So I guess that would be nonfiction. And I actually really enjoyed that one. I had a good time. Wait, scratch that. No, I never read that one. I don't know why I said that. I have not read this one yet. So, and this was like one that just was very different from what I'm used to, so I thought I would try it out at some point. Okay, then we have Twilight Sleep, another Edith Wharton book, and I don't know much about it. And then we have Ulysses, which is like a mountain. It's like, just such a big book. I want to try it, but it's such a challenge. It's so different. It's even more challenging than, and I want to read it, but it's like, the writing makes it very hard to comprehend it. So I need to read it when I don't have any distractions. And it's just something I can easily, I can put my concentration on and I'm not falling asleep. And then The Way We Live Now is one of Anthony Trollope's standalones. And that was one of the ones where it's a situation where I heard about it as a preview for another movie. And one of those collectors of a lot of period dramas. And I'm trying to remember her name, the actress's name that is in it. She played the ghost of Moaning Myrtle in the Harry Potter movies. She was also in she also was in one of a Doctor Who episode, one of the standalone episodes, and where the Doctor doesn't make an appearance until later, towards the end. She plays the character of Ursula. And then, excuse me, I hate when it happens, like you feel it, right? And then we have, and she also played, okay, so if you have seen Once Upon a Time, the actor who played Rumpelstiltskin, Robert Carlyle, he did a show with this actress years ago in an old BBC drama where Robert Carlyle played a Glasgow police officer, and she played one of his love interest. And I wish I remember the actress's name. And Macbeth was the show that she was the show with Robert Carlyle. And what's really disappointing is I have it, but then my last set of DVDs got ruined somehow. So now I can't watch it, the last season, which finally had the couple in the show get together, and it's like now they're all ruined because the DVD got scratched up at some point. But anyway, so she plays the main girl and the main woman and one of the main women in the adaptation of The Way We Live Now, basically. I cannot remember her name though. And that's how I first heard about The Way We Live Now. I did not know Anthony Trollope wrote it, which, I gotta put Villette in red. This one, so we have Villette, which I just read and did a review of. And then we have Vanity Fair, which is kind of described as the British version of Gone with the Wind. Like a similar kind of story, except for without the Civil War stuff. And, I have the infamous Becky Sharp, who I think... I'm trying to think of who she, Kirsten Dunst, I think, plays Becky Sharp on the movie adaptation. And I heard people have mixed feeling, like, it's a polarizing book, because, I feel like it's one of these things where you're either a Vanity Fair fan, or you're a Gone with the Wind fan. But I will probably like Vanity Fair as much as I like Gone with the Wind. Or maybe I'd like it better, I don't know. Okay, and then we have A Woman in Arabia, and this one was kind of inspired by Seven Pillars of Wisdom, which, is that on here? Is that one on here? That one should be on here. Let's see. Seven Pillars of Wisdom should be on here, and I do not see it. I don't know why it's not on here. It should be. Because that's also a classic, I think. It would be considered a classic. I think. But that is similar to, I think, again, similar about someone going to Arabia and writing about their experiences, and so Woman in Arabia is on here somewhere. I don't know, but that one should be on here as but this woman went to Arabia and wrote about her experiences in essay forms, I think. And then we have The Woman in White, which I got a different copy of that one. And then we have Wuthering Heights, which I've already read. And then we have War and Peace, which I'm in the middle of. And then we have Wives and Daughters. And then they're not on this list yet, but we have, let's put this over here. Okay, we can add this to my Edward Gibbon's The History and Decline and the Fall of the Roman Empire. We have that one. This is a non-fiction classic, and it's unfortunately an abridged edition, which I normally don't like, but it's what I saw at thrift books, so I bought it. And I imagine a lot of this has been, I imagine a lot of it's been lost. But I've been really intrigued by Roman history. I mean, I love the play Julius Caesar, and I have the Emperor series. I read The Gates of Rome, the first book, which is about Julius Caesar. It's a fictionalized version. So then we have that one. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it in this pile. Oh. This isn't the one I was looking for, but this is the Gertrude Bell, A Woman in Arabia. That one. Okay, and then we have Suetonius' The Lives of the Caesars, which actually that video I mentioned by Jennifer Brooks, that's a year old. This book, she had hauled this book as well. Not this edition, but the Penguin version of this edition. So she was just talking, about that, and this is really great, and it's, the way she describes it is like basically hanging out with someone and hearing gossip about, like, you know, your peers or celebrities or something. That's basically what this is. So I have that one, and then I have the last classic I'm going to mention in here is Thomas Mann's Budden Brooks. And I thought this would be kind of great to read, like, around the same time that after I read, and this is the Everyman's Library edition. But, this, I think, let me look, does it say? 1901, okay, so, I don't know if that would be considered the beginning of modern classics, but I don't know, I'm gonna have to look up if someone would consider this a modern classic. But it's about a German family, so it's a German family saga. So, for some, so I thought this might be something to read while I'm reading, Brothers Karamazov, because that one's also about a family. And I've just always been intrigued by stories about families and family multi-generational stories, but you know, I always thought that would be interesting to read about. But this is one of the few hardback classics other than the clothbound that I really think is I kind of like it. I like the look. It looks very old, like an old book, like something that they would have read back in the 1800s, because I don't think they had paperbacks back then. They just had regular, you know, hardback books without dust jackets. So, but yeah, I thought this would be, so I just went ahead and got it. Plus, I got it this month. So, and the roast office has that sale of buy one but get one free sale. So, and like I said, I also had recently, I'm decided to buy Marcus Zuzak's other most famous novel. You have The Book Thief, which that was there as well, but I ended up getting but I wanted to get other, you know, I was trying to stick to just getting 2 books, and so I got his other one, Bridge of Clay, and because I had recently got that from the library the first time I attempted to read it, and again, I feel like with the library, it's kind of, you know, because I don't like the pressure of anxiety feeling I get whenever I know that, okay, I have to return this book at some point soon. I can't keep it forever, and I can't just, and I have to finish it now. I can't just put it down for a few months or a year. I have to finish it now, so, I think that just potentially ruined it for me. So I bought it so I can try again. With that one. But anyway, so, yeah, so this is the last classic I think I bought. And, so that's what's going on in the classics. So that means I have read so far, and this, right now, this list might be edited a little bit, but so far I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. I've read 40, although I have to add some soon. So 48 classics out of 100. And so close to the halfway. At least that is going to be tweaked. And let's see, how many I've read twice now? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think it was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 12. So I've only read 12 more than once. So, and some of the ones I want to reread are Bleak House, Christmas Carol, which I usually, the goal is to read that one every year. And Frankenstein I want to reread this year. Great Expectations, Great Gatsby I've read like 3 times. I have thought about rereading Gone with the Wind. Jane Eyre read 3 times, reread 3 times. Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Oh wait, I haven't reread that one. Middlemarch, I do want to reread again this year. Mansfield Park, I plan to reread this year. Les Mis, I'm currently rereading. And Notes from the Underground and Double, I feel like I need to reread Notes from the Underground at least. And then we have Oliver Twist. I've been meaning to reread The Odyssey. I will reread, but not anytime soon. The Importance of Being Earnest, like Cement, I've reread that one. Big Book Papers, I would have to rebuy that if I wanted to reread it. So I actually can take that one off the list because I don't have a copy of it anymore. Picture of Dorian Gray, I do want to reread again for the 3rd time. Phantom of the Opera, I might reread this. I do plan on rereading Pride and Prejudice at some point. Rebecca, I want to reread that one. In Tale of Two Cities, I always want to reread that one. I do want to reread Treasure Island, and I plan to reread Wuthering Heights. But depending, so yeah, and like I said, I have to tweak a few things, add some stuff, and then take out some stuff. So that's kind of what's my update of my classics reading. Sorry that took so long, but I have a lot. I have a lot of classics. And if you guys read classics, I'm assuming you do, maybe you don't, but if you do, then tell me what classics have you reread this year. Feel free to share in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below to be notified when I post new videos. And I hope you guys are staying well and safe and enjoying your reading. All right. Bye.